which has been adopted by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICA, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Ghana, ICA, the Liberia Institute of Certified Public Accountants, and the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sierra Leone. This initiative is actually consistent with the harmonization of accounting and auditing standards across the globe under the International Financial Reporting Standards.
However, the transition from an association to a full-fledged institute remains one of the comprehensive roadmaps of the association. And this, it seems, is achievable as the man for the task is at hand to make this possible.
The institute will be responsible for registering members who qualify as chartered accountants, as well as students pursuing professional accountancy training, registering practicing auditors, issuing practicing certificates, conducting national professional qualification examinations, establishing a code of professional conduct and ethics, including disciplinary procedures, as well as carrying out research affecting the profession amongst other functions.
Read to members by the group's treasurer. The association's financial report is said to have represented a true and fair picture of the club for the period under review. Members later took turns to raise their concerns on issues bothering the association. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Winifred Nicole Hodibat. We will be back with news from outside the Gambia after this break.
In town has the latest fashion wear for ladies. Kanilai Group International Fashion Shop, or KGI Fashion Shop, brings you latest abayas from the Republic of Indonesia, the home of good textile and fashion. Our range of collection includes ladies' fashion, shoes and menswear. Walk now into KGI Fashion Shop along the Kerava Avenue, just adjacent to the traffic lights junction, and get quality abayas in retail or wholesale at unbeatable prices. For more information, call 4398-313 or 776-6429 or 996-5776. KGI Fashion Shop.
Welcome back. Authorities in Niger have signed an agreement with French nuclear giants Areva for the resumption of mining activities in some of Niger's biggest mining regions. The government in Niamey seeks to secure greater concessions of mining rights in the new strategic deal, while the French nuclear giant Areva earned the right to begin excavation work on one of the world's largest open-area uranium mine. We have details in this report.
Their confident steps are proof that relations are now good. Government officials from Niger and representatives from French nuclear giant Areva have resolved the crisis. After 18 months of talks, the two sides have finally signed what they are calling a strategic partnership accord. The contracts for the two huge uranium mines next to Arlit that expired last December 31st have now been renewed. Niamey officials are happy. We are telling you that beginning in July 2014, the company of Soumaï will be run by Niger. And beginning in 2016, Komuna will also be run by Niger. This means that Niger increasingly has a say in company affairs. The general directors of the companies excavating the mines of Arlit for Areva will now be from Niger. In addition, the French nuclear giant will now support state-run infrastructure projects and local development. For example, Areva will now finance the rebuilding of the Tahua-Arlit highway to the tune of 40 billion CFA francs, or 90 million euros. We are making Niger and this development a priority. I am convinced that this high figure will help develop activity and employment on the highway. Areva has also won a precious victory, obtaining the right to push back excavation at the Umuraren site. It could become the second largest open-air uranium mine in the world. The French nuclear giant has been working there since 2009. It says excavation there will depend on increases in the price of uranium on the world market. Civil groups in Niger say this is scandalous because postponing digging at the site will bring major budgetary problems upon the state.
Ordinary Indians and Pakistanis have welcomed moves by their respective leaders in building efforts aimed at strengthening ties between the two traditional foes. This development comes as Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif makes his first official visit to India to attend the inauguration of new Prime Minister Mahindra Modi. We have details in this report.
Narendra Modi's inauguration ceremony Monday included 4,000 guests. Business leaders, heads of state and governments gathered at the presidential palace. One of the most remarked guests was Nawaz Sharif, the Prime Minister of India's regional rival Pakistan. Diplomatic relations were severed between the two countries in 2008 after a number of attacks in Bombay killed 166 people.
This is a huge breakthrough. So I'm asking both governments to please stop fighting. We have been fighting for 60 years. We want peace so we can come here and Indians can come to Pakistan.
Narendra Modi's first official meeting was with his Pakistani counterpart Nawaz Sharif. As leader of the Hindu Nationalist Party, Narendra Modi promoted tough policies towards Pakistan over territorial disputes in Kashmir and Afghanistan.
We cannot move even one step without resolving and without discussing all these outstanding issues, especially Kashmir, and now we have very sincere and basic differences on our water issues as well.
Narendra Modi's party victory and his role as Prime Minister has raised hopes amongst Indian Hindus who voted him to power that he will fulfill his promises of development and to reshape the economy. All of India is waiting to see if the new Prime Minister will also provide stable and decisive rule.
Pope Francis is forging ahead on into a very thorny issue for the Catholic Church, and the Pope is now speaking out frankly against allegations of child sexual abuse by members of the clergy. And he has announced plans to personally meet the victims in the coming weeks. CNN's Ivan Watson has more on the Pope's strong words, which come on the heels of a 3-day tour of the Middle East.
Made big news after he departed the Holy Land. On his flight back to Rome and to the Vatican, while speaking to journalists, he addressed one of the biggest crises that the Roman Catholic Church has faced in recent generations, that being the scandals of clerical sexual abuse, which he described, which he compared to a black mass. Pope Francis said that he would meet with some victims of clerical sexual abuse as early as the first week of June. He went on to say that at least 3 bishops are currently being investigated by the Vatican right now. He did not explain what charges they were currently facing or what crimes they were being investigated for. He also went on to say that the former number 2 at the Vatican, the former Secretary of State Cardinal Tarcisio Bertone, who is also currently under investigation for allegations of financial misconduct. All of these statements coming, of course, after the Pope wrapped up his historic 3-day papal visit to the Holy Land. A hero's welcome for Pope Francis on his first papal visit to the Holy Land. This 3-day tour, a delicate high-wire act punctuated by bold moves. The pontiff unexpectedly stopped at the Israeli-built separation barrier, which encircles part of the town where Jesus Christ was born. He then made a gesture that delighted Palestinians.
The Pope did not put his hand only on a concrete wall. He put his hand on occupation. He put his hand on apartheid system, on a system of separation and discrimination and oppression.
The next day in Jerusalem, Pope Francis laid his hand on another wall, the Western Wall, Judaism's most holy site. That visit followed by an emotional meeting with survivors of genocide at the Holocaust Memorial. His Jewish travel companion says the Pope brought Israel a message of friendship. Is he a friend of the Jews?
Undoubtedly. A really friend of the Jews.
And finally, a foray into diplomacy. Pope Francis invited both the Israeli and Palestinian Authority presidents to come to the Vatican. In a clear